Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Thank you. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest on the line right now. The legend, Morris Day.
Man.
Yes.
Light skin is always in the building.
Hey, you know it. How y'all doing?
We're doing
Blessed,
good.
black, and highly favored.
Morris.
I feel like I know you because my daddy used to listen to so much Morris Day in the time growing up. And you know, in Monk's Corner, South Carolina, in his little juke joint, he always was playing Morris Day in the time.
Hey, props to Pops.
Yes, sir.
And you still got the good hairline popping.
Hey, watch out now, you know. We gotta keep it nice, you know.
Well, Mars is here because he's released a new book.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start, because there might be some people that don't know who Morris Day is that listen to the Breakfast Club. So let's explain to the people who Morris Day is and how you got your start. So where are you from? Let's start the high school, who you went to high school with, and how you got started in the music industry.
Well, I'm actually from a small town in Illinois, Springfield, which is actually the capital. Everybody thinks Chicago is, but it's Springfield. And early years, you know, but then I moved to Minneapolis. We were supposed to be going to California, but my mom said we're going to stop in Minneapolis to visit a sick aunt, and we stayed there for the next 20 years.
Wow.
But, you know, it worked out really well for me, even though I wasn't happy about it originally. But, you know, it turned out I lived on the same block that Prince did around the corner. And I didn't know, you know, I mean, he was like 10 years old, and I'd see him and his sister Tyka playing outside. And I didn't meet him until like 4 or 5 years later, and ended up being in the same band with him. And we had a band called Grand Central, and, you know, Prince helped me get my start. He got his solo start and helped me get my start, and, you know, it's kind of history from there.
So y'all literally grew up together in the same neighborhood since y'all was 10 years old?
And didn't know it. You know, Prince was, you know, just a little shorty around the corner, you know, and playing with his sister outside. They had a nice house, though.
Mm-hmm. I would have loved to see how y'all dressed back then.
Yeah, how did y'all
I
dress
can't
back
imagine y'all ever dressing down.
Dressed way down.
Now, was he always good in basketball? Did y'all used to play basketball?
I didn't know him. I mean, I saw him back then, you know, playing outside with his sister. But, you know, I didn't find out, you know, that he was a musician and all that until like 5 years later, like 14, 15 years old. But yeah, he was an awesome basketball player.
Wow.
Now, your book is interesting how you wrote it, because a lot of it is what you would imagine Prince would respond to some of the stories that you have to tell and your recollections of you coming up and becoming, you know, the Morris Day and the time and the whole journey to get to that point. So it seems like you guys had such an interesting relationship because y'all knew each other for so long. He was very much intricately involved with you becoming the superstar that you became, but then there were some discrepancies between you two along the way.
Press mute.
Well, you know, brothers fight.
Yeah.
But you're right. You better believe that the responses that in the book that I came up with are real world responses, because, you know, we knew each other well. You know, toward after I got out of his camp, you know, we didn't talk all that much, but we spent a lot of time together in the early years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would think that there's not a question you haven't asked him and a question he hasn't answered. Like, I would think that y'all would have had all of these conversations.
Pretty much, you know, we pretty much covered it all. So, you know, like I said, these are real world responses. So when I say it's in the book,
Mm-hmm.
it's in the book.
It's in the book.
On Time, A Princely Life in Funk. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Day. Do you feel you get your proper credit, or do people think of you as just a Prince creation?
Well, you know, some people think that, and, you know, social media is beautiful and it's ugly at the same time. And, you know, I get all the responses. I never respond to ugliness. And, you know, people tell me, you know, this or whatever. But, you know, it's very far and few in between. As far as credit, you know, I know what I did, you know, in the organization. If anybody questions whether I can write a song, then you need to research that, because that's how I got my start. But Prince was such a creative genius. I would never dispute how somebody feels about him versus me. He did the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he came through here like a hurricane and he left. But he was a creative genius, and I would never try and take that from him. And so, you know, I'm humble about that. You know, I think people are entitled to their opinions, and it's all good.
Do you think that if you would have tried to negotiate more for yourself, that you would have been in the position that you were in with him, or you think he would have shut it down? Because it feels like he was like, this is what it is, take it or leave it.
That's the way he came across. But sometimes I question if I had taken a harder position with him, I'd probably have a little more of that Purple Rain money.
Yeah, and you brought up an interesting point, because your songs aren't on the soundtrack.
Not at all.
Right? And those were huge songs, and I think it would have benefited the actual soundtrack. There were some other songs in the movie that weren't on the soundtrack also.
Yeah, no, we had decent sales, but had we been on the soundtrack, which was a shrewd move on the brothers' part, you know, the sales would have been, you know, substantially greater.
What was your relationship when he passed away? Did y'all have a tight relationship, good relationship?
Well, you know, fortunately, because, you know, I've been fortunate enough to not really have people close to me pass away. Mm-hmm. So that was a real shocker for me. That was the closest one of the closest people to me. And he insisted that we come to Paisley Park to do a show for him. And in the past, he had kind of stiffed me a few times. So I was like, brother, if you want me to bring my band to Minneapolis again, you're going to have to pay me up front. And you know, he sent all the money and everything, and we went there, and he was very gracious, and we got to talk. We talked before the show, we talked after the show, and in parting, he said, you know, I love you. And he had never said anything like that to me before. And I was like, I love you. And that was pretty much the last words that we had. So I walked away from that feeling like, what changed? You know, what's different? Why did he say that? And 2 months later, that was it.
Wow.
Now,
with all the tours and everything that you're seeing happening at Paisley Park, do you think Prince would have wanted that? Because he was such a private individual. You know, we really only knew what he wanted us to know. But now the fact that they have people coming in inside his facility, well, what are your thoughts?
It's like a circus now. You know, I know damn well he wouldn't have wanted that. You know, I can't even go there for that reason. It's hard to see because it's all about the people now. You know, so. You know, I know he wouldn't have wanted that.
Now, one thing that people might not know is that you had Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis as part of your band early on before they went to go become the super producers and writers who they are. So how did you mend that relationship after you fired them from working with you?
Damn it, man. You just gonna fire those super producers? You could have signed them.
It's in the book.
But how do you amend a relationship like that? Because to me, it's like, look, we popping over here, you know, so do we need to come back and work again? So how does that how does that conversation happen?
That's a great question. You know what? First of all, I didn't fire them. I was signed to Prince's production company, and he fired.
Prince fired Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. He's not here to defend himself, Morris. We don't know if we believe your story.
You know what? I want the brother to rest in peace, so I ain't going to sit here and lie on him. But I will tell you, you know, he fired him. You know, and that was a tough moment for me because we were in the studio recording Ice Cream Castles, not just the album, but the song Ice Cream Castles. And he called them in and they showed up and he fired them. And, you know, one of my pet peeves coming up as a musician was I always hated to see one of my favorite bands start replacing members because I like my bands to stay the way I like them. And, you know, I really dropped my head and had a real tough day when he did fire them. So I never had a relationship to heal with them because they know I didn't fire them.
Okay.
Could the time have been as successful as they were if Alexander O'Neal remained the lead and not you?
Well, they wouldn't have had a lead singer who was quite as pretty, but I don't know. You know, I don't know. I think it would have changed the whole dynamic of things. To be honest, I love Alex. Alex is an incredible singer. I wish I could sing half as well as Alex. But it just would have been a whole different dynamic. And, you know, Alex and I we were best buddies, you know, back through then. But he wanted something, you know, more than what we had. And it just kind of turned out. I just wanted to be a drummer. I didn't want to be in front of the band. So I kind of got pushed out there. We tried a few lead singers, including Alex, and it didn't work out. And Prince was like, well, you do it. And I was like, I don't want to do it. you know, I want to play the drums. And, you know, he kept, you know, pressing the issue, and I ended up being the lead singer, and I'm so glad. I didn't really think I could lead a band, but, you know, as it turned out, it worked out pretty well for me.
How often did Give the Drummer Some get you laid?
Well, get a lead singer some works a little better.
Now, with the pandemic and everything that's going on, I know a lot of bands and artists make money on the road. So how have you been surviving for the last, damn near a year?
Man, you know, it's been interesting, you know, but what it did was it made me realize that I really need to focus on other things creatively. That's why we have our Christmas song, which I'm pretty proud of. It's something I probably never would have done had I still been a weekend warrior out there doing my thing, which I miss very much because I just love to perform. But, you know, we have a new album coming out. You know, I might sound a little dated. I don't even know if they call them albums anymore, EPs or whatever they call them.
Still albums. They're still albums.
They like to say projects.
There's projects.
Project. We got a new project coming out, and it's called My Number One Fan. It's got some great music on it. So I just really been internalizing on my creativity and focusing on that. And, you know, it kind of, I don't know if I should use the word forced, but it kind of led me in different directions, which I feel I was supposed to go in.
Did writing this book serve as a form of therapy to work out maybe some remaining grief you had from the loss of Prince?
You like to ask some good questions, don't you? Yeah. No, it was definitely therapeutic because I found myself going down, you know, memory lane in a way that I probably didn't want to at times. And at times it was really great. And I always thought in my life I would like to do the memoirs of Morris Day. And I just didn't know that I would do them as soon as I did. And, you know, at times it was painful, but it was therapeutic because I did get some things off my chest and revisit some things that I probably needed to revisit.
Right. And how did being in the band, and you also battled your own demons during that time, affect your relationships? You know, because you did get married, you did have children during that time. So how did that affect your relationships?
Well, you know, the demons are among us. So, but I dealt with them big time when I was younger and dumber. You know, but fortunately, you know, God had a plan for me. I'm still here. I think I'm doing better than I ever have, you know, even through this pandemic, they call it. But, you know, it's life is life. You know, you got to deal with it. I had some serious demons, but, you know, and they caused some serious damage to me and other people. But, you know, I got through it. Everybody got through it.
What did your kids say reading this book? Because I know you reflected it on how you wish you would have had a better relationship while your kids were young. So how did you mend that, and what did they say when they read this?
Kids are, the love from kids is unconditional. It's a true statement. Mm-hmm. So my kids don't really drag me through it so much about, you know, how I was. I really wasn't that bad. I'm not like a bad person, but, you know, my older kids, you know, my oldest is 43, and you know, she doesn't, you know, rip me up about it too much. It's all love. So, you know, people are people, and people make mistakes, and life goes on.
Was there any pushback from anybody on the dialogue between you and Prince throughout the book? Maybe his estate or something?
Now, what do you mean, the pushback?
Like, did somebody see the book and was like, I don't think Prince would have said that? Or,
yeah. Yeah, if you go on to Prince's, whatever that online community he has, you know, everybody has their opinion, but at the end of the day, I was the one that was there. So you can have your opinion, but you got to understand that it was my life that I lived, and I was there.
Did you have to get approval from Prince's estate to speak on his behalf in the book?
No, they haven't bothered me so far, you know, because I think they know that might be a mistake, because even though I do speak about Prince, I'm telling my life story.
Right.
Because you know where all the bones are buried if you need to go dig some up.
Trust me, I left a lot of them buried.
Well, you did speak on the rivalry between Prince and Michael Jackson in the book.
Yeah.
What were Prince's true feelings towards Michael Jackson?
Well, you know, he had respect for Michael. But, you know, there's a rivalry because, you know, Prince rose to that level where it was appropriate to say, you know, this is competition. And anybody who could say they were in direct competition with Michael Jackson, they're in a good space as far as an entertainer goes.
Mm-hmm. I remember reading one time where you said Rick James was jealous of Prince.
He was. You know, Rick, you know, started to feel the pressure. And, you know, I understand that pressure because that's the kind of pressure that the Times started to put on Prince, you know, when we were doing concerts. And Prince was putting that type of pressure on Rick James where he was starting to steal the show, you know. And so, you know, of course, Rick being the kind of brother that he wasn't liking that shit. So, I mean, you know, I understand it because, like I said, that's what the Time did to Prince. And that's why he took us off of some of those major markets. We couldn't go to Chicago. We couldn't go to Chicago, L.A., New York. We couldn't go to the major markets with it because we was putting pressure on it.
Did y'all ever get into any fights with all that? You know, because you're talking about all these different shows. But did y'all ever get physical?
Well,
it's in the book.
It's in the book.
No, the closest we came to, and it is in the book, getting physical, we had a huge food fight. And it was in, I believe,
y'all throwing pancakes all over the goddamn place.
Pancakes, sausage, everything, man. We, you know, but he started it. We was on stage, and he, for some reason, got the bright idea that he want to start throwing eggs up on the stage while we was up there.
So y'all performing and they chucking eggs at y'all.
Eggs coming across the stage. So, you know, he said, and then he threatened me. He said, "You better not try and do that to me when I'm on stage." And you know how it is. If you say don't do it, guess what?
You got to do it.
I got to do it. So we did the same thing, and it carried on after the show. It went into the backstage area. They had my guitar player, Jesse, handcuffed to a coat rack and just all kind of crazy stuff. And it ended up me getting the bill. I had to pay $5,000 out of the, you know, little money I was getting, you know, to clean, because the venue charged us a cleanup fee. So that's really, and it got ugly. It did get ugly. So that's really the closest we came to, you know, getting physical.
I'm shocked that you said Prince, you know, didn't take y'all on the road because he didn't like pressure. I would think somebody like Prince would love to have somebody challenging him on that stage.
Well, you got to understand, it's the Frankenstein monster that he built. Now, I think he believed that we would be good, but I don't think he believed that we would be as good as we were.
Wow.
So I believe, you know, we took it, and I think that the members of the Time speak for itself, because if you think about, you know, what everybody did, you know, Terry and Jimmy, you know, unlimited ability as songwriters and producers. Jesse Johnson had a great solo career. Jerome was, you know, a great personality, great actor, you know, and you know, we had a chemistry that I don't think he expected.
Now, did you ever think of doing a movie yourself? Because I know obviously you were in Purple Rain, the Graffiti Bridge movie. Had you ever at that time said, I should just write my own movie just the way Prince was writing these movies and developing these ideas?
Yes, I've thought that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in my brain, and it's on the back burner right now, moving toward the front.
Yeah, you had a TV show back in the day.
Yeah.
And it was canceled. Not, I heard, this is what I heard. It was canceled not because of ratings, but because the studio didn't get along with your show's producer, Ralph Farquhar, I think his name is.
Yeah, I've had two like that, you know, were canceled. And, you know, the one that I did, New Attitude, with Cheryl Lee Ralph and Yvonne Stickney, that was a bona fide hit as far as the Nielsen ratings were concerned. Mm-hmm. But there was a hiatus and they canceled the show, and then the show aired and it had high ratings, but it didn't exist anymore. And then we had another show, Jerome and I, that was called Hotel Dix, and we were both hotel detectives. And
Hotel Dix.
Yeah.
That's a wild name.
Wild name, man. And, you know, that show got canceled, but there was a lot of internal issues, and they were changing powers at Fox at the time. So, you know, that one was, but it just kind of made me believe maybe I'm not an actor because I can act, but I don't like the part of acting where somebody tells me what to do, what time to get up, what time to be at work, and all of that stuff.
That's
you know,
part of it,
That's
sir.
the way it works, Mr.
It
V.
costs a lot of money to do these productions. They need you on
Yes,
time.
it does. Yes, it does, and I understand that, but I don't like that part of it.
So is the rumor about the studio not getting along with your show's producer, Ralph, true, or was it you not wanting to do the work?
Oh, I wanted to do the work. I was there. I was there every day on time, looking good, ready to go in, and knew my lines and all of that. So it wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
It was internal problems.
Got you.
Now your son is in the industry now as well, right?
Yeah.
Now, how did you feel when your son wanted to jump into the industry, the music industry?
Oh, you know, I love that. The biggest problem for me is the industry is so different, and you know that's something that I'm dealing with right now. My son is an amazing singer. Again, like I said about Alexander O'Neal, if I could sing half as good as that young man can, you know, I would probably be about twice as famous as I am. But you know, he's amazing. We're working on him. He's a songwriter. He's formally trained. We sent him to Berklee School of Music, and so he's got training that I never had. I got street training. He's got formal training.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's in the industry, and you know, I think it's great.
You know, the book On Time, A Princely Life in Funk. Why'd you choose to put Al Sharpton on the cover of the book?
Stupid, man.
Jokes.
I really looked too. I was like, dang, Al Sharpton.
Hey, when my camp submitted that picture to me, I looked at it for a minute, and I was like, I don't know if that's the image that I want to project right now. I just wanted to say my son's name is Darren Day. That's Darren. I just wanted to put that out there. But you know, that picture, but I said, you know, sometimes you have to be able to not feel like you got to be pretty every moment. I still look pretty, but you know, that picture, you know, I had to think on that one a little bit, you know.
Hey, you look good, brother. You 62 years old. You are aging like wine.
I appreciate that.
And now you're 62 years old, but you on social media too, right? Because you hit me, or was that your son that hit me a couple times?
Oh no, yeah, we hit you. We definitely hit you. I'm on social media, and you know, they sit behind me and they say, I'm like, if I want to hit them up, I was like, how do I do that? And they say, okay, do this, do that, and I got my team, my family behind me. They helped me get it done.
Gotcha.
Now, what are some things that you had to censor or edit from this book? Because I'm sure there are so many stories that you had that you wanted to tell, but then I'm sure part of it is like, I don't know if I should really put this out there yet. Were there some things?
I don't think that, you know, I think I went there as far, I mean, without the bloody details, you know what I'm saying? But there's things that I think I wish I had brought up. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you finish the book and you go through it and you think, oh, damn, I should have, you know, but in 200 pages, it's really hard to sum up your life that intricately. So I think, you know, basically, I think I got across what I needed to get across.
Mm-hmm.
You know, once you and Vanity broke from Prince, why didn't y'all work together?
We did.
Okay.
There was a song called Mechanical Emotion that I wrote on her first solo album.
Oh, all right. Okay.
So, yeah, so if you go back and listen to that, we did work together.
Okay.
Now, your mom managed you early on, so how was that experience having her as your momager? And then when did you kind of break away from that? How was that separation?
Well, you know, first of all, having your mom manage you, it sounds cool, but it's pressure, you know, because you got a group of individuals and sometimes they don't agree with what the manager has to say. And when it's your mom, you don't appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? So it's saying, hey, you know, the manager, I don't like what she said. I don't like this. I'm like, but wait a minute. You know, this is double edged for me because that's my mom you're talking about. So it was cool.
How long did that last?
She probably managed us for maybe 2 years. And that was when we were teenagers.
Did she quit or did you fire her?
It was tough, but you know, she had big ideas for us. She was definitely shooting toward trying to get us a record deal. The problem with my mom was she was she was a very attractive young lady. And so, you know, we had people like Isaac Hayes coming, oh, I'm gonna give him a deal, but what was you really looking for?
No.
You know?
Damn.
No.
Now listen, would you look at her any other way if you found out that, you know,
Come on.
she might have done some things just to make some things happen?
That's his mama now.
I know, I'm just
Y'all
asking a
had an
question.
interesting relationship.
I told you it was double-edged.
Yeah.
Ooh.
When you look in the book too, there was some cross relationships.
I don't, you know, first of all, I had never even like considered that, but no, you know, I don't know, man.
What did you say?
No, there were some cross relationships, not celebrity ones going on.
What you mean cross relationships?
He talks about it in the book.
Like what? Explain. I'm intrigued.
Like the mom dating the, I don't know, it was some things happening.
Did I say that?
Yes.
The mom dated the what? Band member?
No,
not celebrities.
What are you talking about? Tell me, Yee.
It was like the brother-in-law or something. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened.
That wasn't my book.
He said that wasn't my book.
That's somebody else's book.
That's grown folks' business. That's grown folks' business.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Day, what do you think was different about the era that y'all came up in as opposed to this one? Because back then, you know, y'all were flamboyant, right? But nobody ever called y'all out of y'all name or said, "Oh, those guys are gay," or
That's
did
not
they?
true. Yes, they did.
Yeah, they did because, you know, we did stuff like wear makeup and
high heels,
you know, and stuff like that. And Prince was big on, you know, he even like crossed the line as far as dressing, you know, with the heels and and all of that stuff. So, you know, that came up a lot. But I really think that at the end of the day, talent and ability prevailed. And that's why many people loved Prince and people respected. You know, I didn't, go that metrosexual road as far as he did. But, I know the brother wasn't gay. You know, if people say that to me, I'd be like, okay, well, leave your girlfriend with him for a few hours and come back and tell me, is he still gay?
That's what I saw. I saw y'all with all the women. Y'all had all the beautiful women around y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was all good, man. You got to take the bitter with the sweet. You know, that's the tough thing about going on social media. You getting all this praise and everybody's like, hey, I love it, and then here comes that one hater. And it just, that's just part of life, I guess. You know, people have their opinions and you got to let them have it.
You said Prince even got booed off stage at a Rolling Stone concert because they thought he looked too feminine.
Oh, yeah. Well, Rolling Stone concert, it would look like a bunch of Hells Angels or motorcycle gangs out there, big old dudes, long hair, beer bottles and stuff. And here come Prince with a trench coat on and some bikinis and some leg warmers and some high heels. That messed with their minds. You know what I mean? They're like, I'm not expecting this. I'm here to see the Rolling Stones. And then next thing you know, beer bottles started flying. And at that time, I was the cameraman for Prince. So I had my video camera set up and I'm in the back and I'm back by the soundboard and they're booing and throwing beer bottles, and it was ugly.
What about when Prince pulled up with the pants with the ass cheeks out?
Yeah, I saw that. I wasn't around then. I was like, that's pushing it a little bit.
Did you hit him up and tell him that? Or y'all wasn't speaking then?
Here's the funny thing. I never had Prince's phone number. Once I left the camp, I never had the ability to call the brother. The only way we talked is if he called me, and it was always his security calling me first, and then he comes in with the mysterious deep voice. After they find after I answer the phone. So I really didn't have that privilege or whatever you want to call it to call him. But I probably would have been like, "What's up with the pants, brother?"
Did you ever have any slight jealousy for Prince? Or huge jealousy for Prince? I don't know.
I think my jealousy probably came in is like, I really feel like I should have partook in the finances a little more than the $50,000 that I got for Purple Rain. And then I'm watching him on the cover of People magazine. They said he made it $17 million. And the movie was just heating up at that point. So I felt a little jealous about getting left out of the financial part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was so interesting because you guys weren't allowed to do anything with anyone else. It was exclusive. So even when you had opportunities to go write for other people and work with other people, it just couldn't happen. And that's a real sacrifice that you made.
Which is really why I left the camp, because, you know, I was comfortable there if I had been able to do other things. And I had gone to Prince and I had to go through the management and told them I wanted to do a solo record. And they said, okay, give me a minute on that. They come back to me and they said, okay, Prince says yes, but he has to be executive producer. Well, I know what that means. That means total control over the project. And that's why I chose to leave. And I had to pay a substantial amount of money to get out of the deal with him. But I said, I need my own creative freedom, which I don't think I would have gotten had I stayed. So, you know, I had to make a move.
Wow.
So we can expect a movie from this book, right?
Hopefully.
Now you're talking.
Well, here's my final question for you, Mr. Day. Did you write this book for yourself or Prince?
I wrote this book for myself. And you know what? It was suggested that I do a book. And, you know, we have one of the best writers in the business, David Ritz, who wanted to do this book with me because, you know, I'm not a writer per se, but you know, and it just made so much sense that I said, okay, I'll do it. And I was really afraid of the time commitment because, you know, I'm not a workaholic. So, you know, I was just thinking, now I got to be every day, you know, writing this book, you know, but David made it an easy process for me. And, you know, I'm really glad I got an opportunity to do it. Now, you know, if you really pay attention to it, I've done a lot in my lifetime. And, you know, it ain't going to stop. But, you know,
That's
the
right.
blockbuster movie, book, been a performer, been an actor, you know, and so, you know, life is beautiful.
All right.
Well, we glad you exist, my brother.
Absolutely.
We glad your art exists. We glad that this new book, On Time, A Princely Life in Funk, exists as well. And I hope everybody goes out there and grabs it.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Appreciate
Have a good
y'all.
one, brother. You be
Thank
safe.
you.
Peace, King.
All right.
Morris Days, The Breakfast Club. Good morning.